name's Art Checkman. I co-founded a company called Ultra Testing 4 years ago with Rajesh Anandan, my MIT roommate and fraternity brother. And Ultra Testing is a company that is both a highly competitive manual software testing company, as well as a testing automation company, and a company that set out to prove that neurodiversity can be a competitive advantage. We recruit our talent from the pool of 3.5 million Americans who are on the autism spectrum. You should know there's probably about 50,000 new 18-year-olds coming out of high school every year who are also diagnosed. Within that population, the most recent surveys have about 85% of the top third of the population who likely have gone to secondary school or university, with 85% unemployment. If your population suffers from unemployment, you don't have a resume, you don't have a work history, you don't have references. So when we say we're building a neurodiverse company, we mean we're taking folks who are both on and off the spectrum. We threw out all the rules of how you create a modern workplace, recruiting tactics, sourcing of people, screening of people, training of people, and then ongoing management of them. We hybridized teams of both neurotypical and neurodiverse people together into work units. And we take what's been seen as a disorder and we turn it into a difference. We embrace each other's differences, and we take what is seen as a disability traditionally, and we turn it into a competitive advantage. So this was our theory or thesis of change, that if we could harness this extra ability that comes along with being on the spectrum for a competitive advantage, that we'd have a sustainable model for change, and that we could actually create jobs for folks that were in a disadvantaged population. We did some studies, and we actually did a whole bunch of different skills-based and attribute-based recruiting screening to find out what kind of attributes the talent pool would have. And the things that we found were off-the-charts pattern recognition, off-the-charts logical reasoning, amazing loyalty, amazing honesty, and unbelievable perseverance. I also run a software company, and those are the exact attributes I struggle to find in our QA people. And so much so that we now use Ultra for all of our QA. But if I could find people who had that particular skill set, I would be amazed. I'd say, wow, like I'll hire them all as QA people. And in fact, that's what happened 4 years ago when Rajesh and I were discussing the topic. And 3 days later, we sourced our first folks and started the company. We take those abilities, we put them to work. And what we see when we compete and test ourselves and benchmark against other quality assurance firms, we discover on a good day, we tested for the Webby Awards, sort of like the Oscars of website building. We tested a site that their internal vendor had already tested. We uncovered 20% more bugs. When we tested a program where IBM had built, was the testing vendor of record, and we tested a site for Prudential, what we uncovered was 56% more bugs. So while 75% of our staff are on the autism spectrum, 100% of our staff believe that our differences make us better. And on a good day, we're 20% more effective at finding bugs. On a great day, we're 56% better. Our clients have expanded all throughout the agency and digital production footprint. Many of the most popular and sort of aggressive and sort of edgy digital agencies in the world are our customers. Folks like Slack, Cigna, Coca-Cola are also on our customer list. And the results that we've seen are pretty profound. Our friend Steve over at the Webby Awards cites, that we've delivered a level of QA that he's never seen before in his 14 years. And our buddy over at Slack, Stuart Butterfield, the CEO over there, says, thanks for being so kick-ass on QA. We offer both manual testing services, automation of mobile testing, functional testing, designing content QA, data and analytics QA. If any of you are dealing with data, I can't count the number of times I've heard data today. But essentially, legacy systems QA. We have a cottage practice also in accessibility testing. If any of you struggle with governmental regulations around accessibility in screen readers, we can service those needs. And then let me switch tactics a bit here and say, let's talk about the model for a minute. So how do we do it? What happened? So full disclosure, I am not on the spectrum. I don't have anybody intimately close to me that has been diagnosed on the spectrum. I don't have any intimate awareness of what it's like. But what I can tell you about and what I do have is 4 years of building a neurodiverse organization and understanding what it takes to hybridize both neurotypical and neurodivergent people into a successful operating model. We hear the story in the media all the time about, poor so-and-so, they're on the spectrum and they couldn't find a job and it was 12 years and it was really challenging, and then they found Ultra and they got a job, and now they're self-sufficient, and yay, doesn't everybody feel good? That's a great story, but we're a competitive business offering. What we want people to focus on about our particular business is the fact that we're actually a highly competitive service offering, that we've taken extra abilities and turned them into an amazing differentiator for our company. So we built a social media campaign. Everyone pull out your phone and you can register right now. It's called differentbetter.us. And what we tried to do is communicate the story about the power of neurodiversity rather than a feel-good, heartwarming human interest story. What we really want to show is the power that drives our particular competitive advantage in our business model. It simulates things like perception, perspective, and logic from the point of view as best as we could represent from some of our testers that agreed to be featured in this campaign. And in so doing, it'll help the participant become aware of the story and how they're leveraging their unique talents to become a competitive advantage. That's differentbetter.us. There'll be a slide at the end. Please register and share broadly. What we're hoping to do is change the perspective of the media and how they try to tell the story and talk about unlocking talent in unique and different ways rather than the human interest side alone. So if you're recruiting people, my advice for neurotypical and neurodivergent recruiting alike, because all the rules that we found apply universally, is recruit for attributes and skills. Don't look at historical experience. Figure out what the attributes are that make the person effective at the job you want them to do, and then design a screening and recruiting process that matches attributes to your candidates. We actually have an assessment where we ask people to do QA for us, and we actually simulate what it's like for them to do the work, and that will help us understand if they're going to be good at the task. Our interviews are non-standard. They are not your traditional interview. We try very hard to remove all interviewer bias, and we say just don't ask open-ended questions, sort of have a clear path and a clear way of removing interviewer bias. And we spend a lot of time for our staff managing both their health. We manage their health and wellness. We have documented processes that are democratized that everyone contributes to. And that's it. I'm Art Checkman, ultratesting.us. Thanks.